we could see the face of the king today. We can continue with our work here during this afternoon. This is the panel 4, Religious Perspectives on Religious Freedom, Peace, Development, and Governance. I am the honor to introduce my colleague and friend, GUILLERMO, the Director of Public Affairs of the Church of Scientology, and he's going to talk about freedom, faith, and power of love, building bridges for peace and happiness. Please, Michelle.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. It is my great honor to be here with you today. Listening to your speeches is really an amazing group of people, and I am really, really honored to have invited and to be part of this. Thank you to the organizers of the event, obviously to Dr. Lautaro, Dr. ANDREA, and to the University of Coimbra. Today, I want to speak about 3 of humanity's greatest goals: freedom of religion, love, and peace. I'm going to keep it very simple, and I hope I can communicate the message of this speech. As you well know, love, peace, and freedom are not abstract ideals. They are living forces that define humanity. When we respect freedom of religion, when we live with love, and when we work for peace, we strengthen the very foundation of civilization. But it is extremely important to remember that this change starts not with governments or institutions, but with ourselves. To bring peace to the world, we must begin with personal transformation. We must cultivate honesty, truthfulness, and integrity in our daily lives. These values are not just moral principles. They are the foundation of trust, respect, and strong relationships. Honesty builds trust. When we are truthful, we create a culture of transparency and accountability. When we live with integrity, we inspire others to do the same. But realize it's not just about personal character. It's about the ripple effect that we can create. When we are an example of love and compassion, we touch the lives of those around us, our family, our friends, even strangers. We show them that kindness, empathy, and understanding are not weaknesses, but strengths. Imagine a world where everyone prioritizes personal integrity, honesty, and love. A world where we approach conflict with empathy, not aggression. A world where we listen more, judge less, and support each other. This is not a dream. It's a reality we can create one person at a time. We can start by being the change we want to see in the world. We can choose to love and not to hate. We can choose to be the light in someone's darkness. By doing so, we'll create a ripple effect that spreads far and wide. We'll inspire others to do the same. And together, we'll build a world of peace, love, and compassion. Now, I'd like to share a tool that could help us achieve that peace. If you look around, it seems that people often have trouble getting along together. Families argue, neighbors come to blows, countries use weapons against each other. Is that the way it has to be? In truth, man is rather peaceful, but he can be driven individually and collectively to hatred and violence. In researching the causes of violence, humanitarian and founder of the Church of Scientology, Mr. L. Ron Hubbard, discovered a fundamental and natural law which explains why conflicts between people are often very difficult to remedy. And he provided a valuable tool that enables one to resolve any conflict, be it between neighbors, co-workers, or even countries and religions. I'd like to play a video for you of this essay from L. Ron Hubbard, and it's titled The Third Party Law.
I have for a very long time studied the causes of violence and conflict amongst individuals and nations. If Chaldea could vanish, if Babylon turned to dust, if Egypt could become lands, if Sicily could have 160 prosperous cities and be a looted ruin before the year zero, and a near desert ever since. And all this in spite of all the work and wisdom and good wishes and intent of human beings, then it must follow, as the dark follows sunset, that something must be unknown to man concerning all his works and ways, and that this something must be so deadly and so pervasive as to destroy all his ambitions and his chances long before their time. Such a thing would have to be some natural law unguessed by himself. And there is such a law, apparently, that answers each condition of being deadly, unknown, and embracing all activities. The law would seem to be a third party must be present and unknown in every form for a conflict to exist, or for a quarrel to occur. An unknown third party must be active in producing between two potential opponents. Or, while it is commonly believed to take two to make a fight, a third party must exist and must develop it for actual conflict to occur. It is very easy to see that two in conflict are fighting. They are very visible. What is harder to see or suspect is that a third party existed and actively promoted the quarrel. The usually unsuspected and reasonable third party, the bystander who denies any part of it, is the one that brought the conflict into existence in the first place. The hidden third party, seeming at times to be a supporter of only one side, is to be found as the instigator. This is a useful law in many aspects of life. It is the cause of war. One sees two fellows shouting back at each other, sees them come to blows. No one else is around. So they, of course, caused a fight. But there was a third party. Tracing these down, one comes upon incredible data. That is the trouble. The incredible is too easily checked. One way to hide things is to make them incredible. Clerk A and Messenger B have been arguing. They blaze into direct conflict. Each blames the other. Neither one is correct. And so the
So the quarrel does not resolve
since
since its true cause
is not
is not established.
One
One looks into such a case thoroughly.
He
He finds the incredible.
The wife,
The wife
of Clerk
Clerk
A
A
has been
has been sleeping with Messenger B
and
and
complaining
complaining alike to both
about
about the other.
Farmer
Farmer
J
J
and
and
Rancher
Rancher
K
K
have been
been tearing each other to
pieces
pieces for
years
years,
of
continual conflict.
There are
obvious, logical reasons for the fight,
Yet
yet it continues
and does
and does not resolve.
A
A
close
close search
finds
finds banker L,
who,
who,
due
due to their
losses
losses
in
in the fighting,
is
is able to loan each side money
while
while keeping the quarrel going,
and
who will get their lands completely if both lose.
It
It goes larger.
The
The revolutionary forces
and the
and the Russian government
were in
were in
conflict
conflict in 1917.
The
The reasons are so many, the attention easily sticks on them. But only when Germany's official state papers were captured in World War II
was it
revealed
that
that Germany
had
had
promoted
promoted the revolt
and
and financed Lenin to spark it on,
even
even sending him into Russia
in a
in a
blacked-out
blacked-out
train.
train.
One looks
One looks over
personal
personal
quarrels,
quarrels,
group conflict,
conflicts,
national
national
conflict,
conflicts,
and one
and one
finds,
finds,
if he
if he
searches,
searches,
the
the
third
third party,
unsuspected
unsuspected by both combatants,
or
or,
if
if
suspected
suspected at all,
brushed
brushed off as
fantastic.
fantastic.
Yet
Yet careful documentation finally affirms
this
this data is fabulously
useful. In
in marital
the
the
correct,
correct
approach of
anyone's counsel
is to
is to get both parties
to
carefully search out
the
the
third.
third party.
They may
They may come to many reasons at first.
These
These reasons
are not
are not
beings.
beings.
One is
One is looking for a third party,
in
an
actual
actual
being.
being.
When
When both
find
find the third party
and
and
establish
establish proof,
that will
that
be
will
the
be
end
the end
of the
of the
quarrel.
quarrel.
Sometimes
Two parties quarreling suddenly decide to elect a being to blame. This stops the quarrel. Sometimes it's not the right being,
and
and more quarrels thereafter occur.
Two
Two nations at each other's throats should each seek conference with the other to sit down and locate actual third parties.
They will
They will always find
they
what they look,
and they
they
can't
can't
find the right one, as it
and it will be found to exist in fact. There are probably many technical approaches one could
an outline in this matter.
this matter.
There are
There are many odd phenomena
connected with it.
An accurately spotted third party
is
is usually not thought at all by either party,
but only
but only shown. Marital conflicts are common. Marriages can be saved by both parties really sorting out who caused the conflicts.
There may
have been in the whole history of the marriage seven,
but
but only one at a time. Quarrels between an individual and an organization are nearly always caused by an individual third party
or third group.
The organization and the individual should get together
and
isolate the third party
by
by displaying to each other all the data that each have been fed.
Rioters
And governments alike
could be
could be brought back to agreement.
Could one
Could one get representatives of both
to give
to give each other what they have been told
by who?
by whom?
Such
Such conferences have tended to deal only with recriminations or conditions or abuses.
They
They must deal in beings only
in
in order to succeed. This theory
might be
might
thought to assert
also
that there
that there are no bad conditions that cause conflict.
There are.
There are,
But these
but these are usually remedial life conflicts,
unless a third
third
party
party is promoting the conflict.
In
In history, we have a very foul opinion of the past
because
it is related
by
to
recrimination
recrimination
of two
of
opponents and has not spotted the third party.
Underlying causes
of
war
war
should
should
be
be hidden
hidden
promoters. There are
no conflicts
which
which
cannot
be
be
resolved
unless
unless the true promoters of them
remain
remain hidden.
This
This
is the
is
natural law.
law.
The
The
ancients
ancients
and
and
moderns
moderns
alike
alike
did
did
not.
not know.
And not
And not
knowing
knowing,
being
being
led
led
off
off
into
into
reason,
reasons,
whole civilizations
civilization
have died. It is
it is
worth
worth
knowing.
knowing.
It is
It is
worth
worth
working
working
with.
with
In
in
any
any
situation
situation
where one
where
is
it's
trying
trying
to
to
bring
bring
peace.
peace.
Nice video, eh? Basically, it's very simple. As you all know, there is always a third party involved for any conflict to happen. And we have, for anybody that's interested, we have a free online course on how to resolve conflicts. If anybody's interested, can see me afterwards. Now, I'm shortening my speech because I know we started pretty late. Right? But remember that at the heart of every religion, no matter its name or nation, lies one universal commandment, which is to love one another. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, and I quote, "Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend." End of quote. Love is not weakness, it's courage. It's the strength to look at someone who is different in faith, color, language, or creed, and to see not a stranger, but a fellow traveler in the human story. Desmond Tutu, the great South African Archbishop, once said, and I quote, "My humanity is bound up in yours, for we can only be human together." End of quote. That is the spirit of love, to recognize that our well-being is intertwined. When one of us suffers, all of us are diminished. When one of us is free, all of us rise. L. Ron Hubbard spoke often about love as the essence of tolerance. He wrote, and I quote, "On the day that we can fully trust each other, there will be peace on earth." End of quote. Every generation dreams of peace, but few realize that peace is not merely the absence of war, it's the presence of understanding. Gandhi reminded us, and I quote, "There is no path to peace. Peace is the path." End of quote. Peace is not something that will arise someday when all differences are resolved. Peace is a way of living now, choosing dialogue over division, forgiveness over revenge, and cooperation over fear. Desmond Tutu put it beautifully, and I quote, "If you want peace, you don't talk to your friends, you talk to your enemies." End of quote. That is not easy. It takes courage to face hatred with love and misunderstanding with patience. But peace is built precisely on such acts of moral bravery. When you are subject to hatred, what is the answer to your own happiness? Mr. Hubbard gave us the following answer to that question in an essay called, "What is Greatness?" Okay, and I'm going to play you another video, don't worry, this is only 3 minutes long. And this video is called, "What is Greatness?" and explain the importance of love despite anything.
The hardest test
task one can have is to continue to love his fellows despite all reasons he should not.
and the true sign of sanity and greatness is to so continue. For the one who can achieve this, there is abundant hope. For those who cannot, there is only sorrow, hatred, and despair. And these are not the things of which greatness, or sanity, or happiness are made. A primary trap is to succumb to invitations to hate. True greatness merely refuses to change in the face of bad actions against one. And a truly great person loves his fellows because he understands them. After all, they are all in the same trap. Some are oblivious of it. Some have gone mad because of it. Some act like those who betrayed them. But all are in the same trap. The generals, the street sweepers, the insane. They act the way they do because they are all subject to the same cruel pressures of this universe. Some of us are subject to those pressures and still go on doing our jobs. Others have long since succumbed and rave and torture and strut like the demented souls they are. We can at least understand the one fact that greatness does not stem from savage wars or being known. It stems from being true to one's own decency. From going on helping others, whatever they do or think or say, and despite all savage acts against one. To persevere without changing one's basic attitude toward man. To that degree, true greatness depends on total wisdom. Why should one change and begin to hate just because others have lost themselves and their own destinies are too cruel for them to face? The real lesson is to learn to love. He who would walk scatheless through his days must learn this. Never use what is done to one as a basis for hatred. Never desire revenge. It requires real strength to love man, and to love him despite all invitations to do otherwise, all provocations and all reasons why one should not. Happiness and strength endure only in the absence of hate. To hate alone is the road to disaster. To love is the road to strength. To love in spite of all is the secret of greatness, and may very well be the greatest secret in this universe.
So to end, remember, if you believe in freedom of religion, defend it not only for yourself, but for others, especially for those whose beliefs are different from yours. If you believe in love, practice it not only towards your friend, but towards those who challenge you. If you believe in peace, build it just not in nations, but in neighborhoods, classrooms, and conversations. Dr. King reminded us, and I quote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." End of quote. The same is true of intolerance. Every time someone is discriminated, excluded, or attacked because of their faith, it is an injury to humanity as a whole. Gandhi warned, and I quote, "An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind." End of quote. Only forgiveness and understanding can break that cycle. And Archbishop Tutu, who saw both the darkness of the apartheid and the light of reconciliation, taught us, and I quote, "Do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world." End of quote. Each small act of kindness, every word of respect, and every moment of courage adds up. That is how love becomes peace, one action at a time. Freedom of religion, love, and peace are not luxuries. They are necessities. They are the air that the soul breathes. When we honor the right of others to believe freely, we protect our own humanity. When we choose love over hate, we lift the weight of history from our shoulders. When we walk the path of peace, we make space for a brighter future. In the words of Dr. King, and I quote, "We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools." End of quote. In the spirit of Gandhi, and I quote, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." End of quote. And in the wisdom of Desmond Tutu, and I quote, "Goodness is stronger than evil. Love is stronger than hate. Light is stronger than darkness. And life is stronger than death." End of quote. So to end, I'll leave you with this video. It's 30 seconds. Okay. This is from a non-political, non-religious moral code called The Way to Happiness. It's in a book written by Ella by L. Ron Hubbard, and it's called Respect the Religious Beliefs of Others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guillermo. Now, we continue with the presentation of the ReD Global platform. By non-copyright, right? Because it's already.
Oh, is this ready? Are you up to a coffee, or shall we go on and take it? Yeah? That's all right. We continue, can we continue in half an hour?
Yeah. Pedro shall wait upstairs. the link, right?
So, okay, we continue with the presentation of the ReD Global Platform. And then the packet is, let's see, this. Yeah.
I'm going to do a small introduction, a short introduction. HEND is going to walk us through the platform. In order to say this is already ready, but of course you will see there are certain sections that still need to be developed. And we would love to do that in collaboration with you. It is a very long project. We started HEND last year. HEND was an intern at the ReD Global program in Colombia. We created the internship in order to develop this global platform, and she did that under the supervision of my colleague from Islam, Dr. Saifli, who is responsible for this part of the program in my department, Jewish, Christian, and Islamic origin. So the two of them, well, mainly HEND, but under the supervision of Dr. Kara, developed this program. The program that was going to form the platform, first on paper, of course, it's a project, and then HEND found a web developer. To right. Thank you. So after deciding finishing the internship in development on paper of the platform, and look for a developer team, and in conversation and collaboration with HEND, we developed what you're going to see now, which is the ReD Global platform, about which I was talking at the beginning during my presentation. Okay, so. I think it's enough, and you can walk us through, I think, and show us the different sections and how beautiful it's became. I will stay here just in case there are questions.
Because we will need you to also give them a very brief idea about the development of the whole idea, how it started as an academic program, as Professor Lautaro might have mentioned in the first day during the opening. ReD Global was an Erasmus Mundus joint master's project between three founding universities at the University of Groningen in Netherlands, the University of Coimbra in Portugal, where you are here, and the University of Cordoba in Spain. And while, of course, I am the alumna of the first cohort of the program, very proud to say that. I received my internship at the ReD Global program, and I knew that we want to expand the ReD Global project to not to be just an academic program that lasts for a couple of years for the students and for the whole team, but we want our principles and our belief in intercultural and religious dialogue to be taken further and to bring together all the academic and the professional partners in a neutral space, as we were saying, that is knowledge-based, where we can have an open dialogue, where we can listen to each other. We were not aiming to have people who are exactly similar, because we are ourselves inside ReD Global are not similar. We are different. We come from very different backgrounds. And I remember very well when we first came to the program, our professors and our host universities said to us, we want to see your perspective. We want to see an aspect of your background, because we learn from you and you learn from us. And this is our concept of sharing the knowledge. So, very briefly, if you visit our humble website that is still growing, exactly like our project. Maybe you can best tell them how it started.
Yeah, well, let's try to give an overview of the historical development of the program in 2019. I think Israel and Jose must be here. I think it was back then when we started preparing the project with our conversations, developing and planning what we wanted to do, how we wanted to do that. And so after many meetings, we developed the scientific committee, which was responsible for the curriculum, the development of the curriculum. We were, remember today that we go together every week under the leading of the person who wrote it down, Joyce Powers. And so during 2 years, in any case, we were developing the program, which we submitted first in 21. In 21. Well, when we got the good news, I mean, in 2022, we got a year to develop the program. So again, we got together. There were a lot of traveling around, meetings, etc. With the view to developing, to engage in the academic associated partners, and also the non-academic associated partners, both in Europe and in Latin America. Well, once we did that during 2022, we finally managed to launch the program, as I was saying yesterday, in September 23. We received the first cohort of students who just graduated last October, right? The program was a very nice. Well, part of the students were graduated in person, part of them, because they were still in other places of the world, they did it online. It was very nice. But in any case, in 23, we received the first one, the first cohort. In 24, the second, so we just received the third one last September. Now we have the call open for the fourth and last of this very first phase, which will end at the end of 28. So this is a bit, very in a nutshell, what's the development of the history of the program up to now is. Maybe you want to show something else.
So exactly, we wanted to have, of course, the religious dialogue, but we did not want to have just a chat. We wanted to have something that brings an impact on ground. Before we start, I would like to thank our advisory board, Dr. Delphine Leao, that you met here on the first day, Professor Fernando Patron Sanchez from the University of Guanajuato in Mexico, and Professor ANDREA here. We have a huge list of academic and non-academic partners who are like-minded, working on the same concept we work on. And we would like to expand our partners, especially that the program is multidisciplinary, so it doesn't have to be confined to certain fields. One of the things that we had in mind when we started developing the project is that what was the most important thing?
The most important thing, of course, was developing a social tissue around the academic program. I mean, we were very conscious from the very beginning that developing an academic, purely or exclusively academic program, it would end up, in the academic course with very interesting alumni who could maybe spread or don't spread the news, after. So from the very beginning, we started thinking about developing this social tissue around the program. And many colleagues, especially Andrea and I, were traveling a lot from the end of 23 and 24 in order to make this a reality. We engaged with a lot of partners. Most of you are here. Others couldn't make it, but maybe in future meetings they will be with us. But in this particular way, we could develop methods. A parallel, I mean, not parallel, but it's like circles. We have now the master, the academic master around. We have the social partners, the non-academic interlocutors who put us in contact with reality, as it were, bridging this gap I was talking about at the beginning. So this was the motivation, the rationale of this global platform, which tries to be a hub, an online space for meeting one another, sharing knowledge, sharing. Well, maybe I'm talking too much in advance of the other stuff.
Now I remember in the first meetings that we had about the platform, is that Professor Lautaro and Saifuddin Kara, who were extremely helpful, they were telling me that we're going to deal with the problems first. And two problems: the students or scholars of religion who try to build the religious literacy and knowledge. We have the knowledge, but when we go to the job market, we don't know how to translate this knowledge, or let's speak the job market language. For example, one of the problems I was saying, okay, I studied media and now I'm studying religion. After I graduate or during my study years, what am I going to do? What kind of job I have? Or how do I convert this knowledge that I have into something impactful, practical, something that people can relate to and really touch? Another problem would be people who are in the field, like NGOs, the non-academic partners we have, maybe some of you who have real financial corporates, and who want to go back to resort to studying, learn about dialogue, how they come into the field. So we saw two different circles that are away from each other, and we were thinking how we can bring them together and see the link, how we can facilitate a space that blends both in a smooth way. Therefore, our project, it's a space for meaningful dialogue, and we try as much as possible to build the capacity using whatever resources we could attain through the incredible experience from the not just the 3 partners, the universities, but also from the number of universities in Latin America, and we are still expanding our list by providing religious literacy program, offering our academic resources, our LPR and the trainings that can be directed to giving TOT, training of trainers for professionals interested in dialogue, or for training for young scholars and students. The LPR is the learning progression route, a short program. Maybe you can give a very brief description that Professor Avi himself was one of our dear instructors.
Yes, maybe first a little think about TOT. What was the training of
trainers?
Yeah, for example, but last July we were together also with ANDREA in Buenos Aires. We had a meeting, for example, on sustainable business model. Sustainable not in the sense only of economically sustainable, but also sustainable in the sense of equality, of rights, etc. It was a very interesting one, and we began to do it, of course, through also the colleagues that we met from ReD Global, for example, Vocación Humana, where we have those meetings with businessmen, with people working on sustainability, etc. Then the learning progression routes are 3 modules that we offer in ReD Global, which, as it were, are fully floating on the more rigid curriculum, because we have 2 tracks, the professional and the academic tracks. At a certain point, the students, of course, take different paths, and they don't share necessarily, the organizations, groups, etc. So we thought of developing these learning progression routes in which they all interact. Okay, and these learning progression routes are focused first on knowledge. The first one is knowledge is not neutral. Okay, I heard that a couple of times during these days. I mean, the way knowledge is produced, transmitted, shaped, etc., influences very much the content of knowledge. So we try to make students aware of this problematic. The second one is strength in diversity. Well, and almost everyone was touching upon this particular theme. And the third one, if I'm not mistaken, is know thyself, with the learning also, wording of the Greek motto, nothing outdone, know thyself, employability, and tries to put together, what Ken was saying at the beginning. On the one hand, the academic program, which students have followed up to then, and then the way in which they can translate everything they learned, first of all, to make a living, and then, of course, to spread by doing that what they have learned to the following. This is what they appear, right?
Yeah. And of course, because we are in the field, the academic field, and the program itself offers a very good opportunity for studying studying in a multidisciplinary program with the chance of having full or partial scholarships. We would like to share that with people who are interested, so they can go to the website and learn about all the study opportunities, the conferences, the trainings, the lectures, the seminars, the webinars that we offer online and offline. And most of them are for free.
We want to offer also, I guess you're going to talk about a repository not only, for example, these days, research, papers, also visual material with conferences on various themes relating to our subject matter. Also, a repository of themes open for research, so that students, wanting to develop a particular research can get ideas, and at the same time also get to know who in our team or network could eventually supervise those investigations.
Exactly. So this is one of the things that this section is going to include in the very near future. Themes and ideas projects waiting for someone to work on, or they need someone to pay attention to and work on. And I think the Professor Margarita, when she was presenting a paper on the Jesuits and the wealth of manuscripts that are in different languages, in need for students to come and study them, either here in Cordoba or in Groningen. The ReD Global Student Project, that some of them are magnificently interesting and informative. One of our ReD Global students have received a prize from the University of Groningen for presenting the best project about Esteban from Mexico. This section will also include conference papers, vocabulary bank, a lot of themes, words, for example, like Scientology, Baha'ism, anything that someone would like to be more informed about a theme or a concept, they can come and have a look. The LPR courses, students' research papers, the LPR audiovisual project materials that we presented, an index of relevant religious research topics in need for research. I've already mentioned that. Bibliographic material on specific topics. A lot of our study opportunities and the conferences. calls for research from different institutions that we get their contact, but we don't know how to disseminate very widely.
In an effective way. I think this could be a very, very easy way of sharing information about certain goals, which we all know sometimes are very short. And then you get to know, and you have 1 week or 10 days to submit something. So in this way, we can share the information rather quickly among all those enrolled in a way or in another.
I hope the internet is, good. Well, since the start of the ReD Global program, every month we kind of send a little newspaper to keep the students, the staff, and our partners informed about where we are, what we are doing, and what we want to do in the future.
Well, we is a very modest way of saying I, because she's in charge all this year for this newsletter, generating content, asking all the alumni to share their experiences, or current students in Córdoba, Coimbra, Mexico, Buenos Aires, whatever, so that everyone is up to date on what is going on. Yeah.
That's you with the Embassy of Qatar. So if you go to the media section, you can have a sort of, you can read through our news. You are also most welcome to share your ideas and reflection through the blog. And you can, of course, read our, let's say, ReD Global family and their journey. All the events we post here. The Religious Hub is a kind of forum where we would like it to be an open, safe, friendly space to express ourselves and express our view of the rest. And here, as we just started, this is the one of the first articles, one of the first reflections I wrote about spiritual and sacred music in Morocco during my visit. So you can have a look at it and give me your feedback. The section here, yeah, very happy to feature that. Whenever we are featured on news, we're gonna share this with you. Or if you yourself have a media section in your institution or company, please share with us your release.
Oh, it became a very nice thing. I see. It's the first time I see it complete.
And of course, this is the photo gallery section.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You are going to see the coverage of the event. I think that was the one of the panel sessions in Buenos Aires. So many photos, you can take your time going through them. And as we said, for an impactful work, we really need to collaborate together. So we encourage collaborating with us at any level. And if you also want to recommend a partner from whom we could benefit, please ask them to join us, become a partner, become our guest. Any kind of collaboration, we are eager to learn from everyone. And thank you for listening. If you have any question about the platform, about our ReD Global project, please ask.
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Have fun.
Shukran. Okay, we shall continue. This afternoon.
But now we do have to go to the topic for. Yeah. Shall we do a short break for shall we do a fast topic? Yeah. Or yeah. Which leads to good because everything is waiting.
And now, Dr. Moustapha Sarhank, he's from Cairo. No?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Welcome here.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's going to talk about bringing the right arm back, a turning Sufi corporate leadership. Please, you have 30 minutes.
15. I'll do my best to be quick.
And then we can discuss.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, I am very privileged today to be speaking before you, and I'm very thankful for Dr. Lautaro for inviting me. Thank you, sir. And Eulalia and Pedro did an excellent job. My commendation to you. I will try to use the time that I have not to talk about so many things that I will leave in a handout that I have prepared for you. But I would like to take advantage of this congregation so that you can ask me questions, and I try to the best of my capability to answer those questions. As you have seen, the name that I have used is a bit strange. It says, bringing the right arm back, a journey in Sufi corporate leadership. This is the title of my book. But at the same time, it is the outcome of a dissertation I have obtained from Grenoble École de Management in France. It was about the infusion of the Sufi teachings in day-to-day business practices, specifically leadership. Few of you, many of you, none of you could have heard about Sufism before. And I'm not going to really tell you what Sufism is today. I will leave that in either my dissertation or in the book, or you read whatever you want to read. But the essence of what I would like to share with you is the following, and if you do not mind, intentionally, I will read it from the manuscript that I will share with you. And as I said, it is intentional, so that you put attention at every word that I wrote, that I will recite to you, because it is well thought of. This work emerges at a moment when the very meaning and practice of leadership are subject to unprecedented contestation. Within the management literature, leadership remains one of the most extensively examined yet persistently debated fields. More than 60 theories have been articulated, beginning with early trait and behavioral approaches in the 20th century, followed by situational and contingency frameworks in the 1970s, and later by transformational, transactional, servant, authentic, and adaptive models. Each paradigm reflected the intellectual currents and socio-historical circumstances of that era. Trait theories sought heroic attributes, behavioral theories emphasized replicable managerial competencies, servant leadership refrained authority through service, and spiritual leadership introduced meaning and moral purpose into organizational life. However, none of these models have fully confronted the most enduring and universal challenge of leadership: the governance of the nafs, between brackets, the self. It is the self, restless, desirous, and prone to excess, that shapes the ethical orientation of leaders. Left unchecked, it magnifies power into tyranny and ambition into greed. But when refined, it becomes the wellspring of humility, discernment, and service. Any leadership paradigm for our century must begin here, with the discipline, awareness, and cultivation of the self, or the nafs. The nafs is a term that is coming from my part of the world. It is Arabic, but it now is being introduced into the literature because there is slight differences between nafs and self and nafs and consciousness. But for the sake of the presentation, I'm using the self so that it is relatable to what you already know. The 21st century confronts leaders with complexities of a different order, hyperconnectivity, digital disruption, ecological and climate imperatives, geopolitical volatility, and a profound erosion of trust in institutions. These conditions demand a reimagined paradigm, one that transcends transactional performance or charismatic appeal and sustains organizations while contributing to the broader human and ecological systems in which they are embedded. It is in this spirit, ladies and gentlemen, that I introduced the Sufi corporate leadership model, or the SCLM. The model is not offered as a definitive resolution to the debates surrounding leadership, but as an invitation to reconceptualize its essence in light of contemporary challenges. At its foundation lies the principle of the triple bottom line. The triple bottom line, or TBL, people, planet, and profit, was first articulated by John Ellington in 1994 and later on in his book 1997, when he said that cannibals are becoming leaders. It was a framework for sustainable value creation that balances economic prosperity with social equity and environmental responsibility. A satisfied and engaged workforce people fosters productivity and creativity, which in turn enhances financial performance, profit, enabling organizations to reinvest in socially responsible initiatives and environmental stewardship, the planet of the society. In this way, leadership is measured not only by economic results, but by the equilibrium it secures across human, financial, and ecological domains. Ultimately, the Sufi corporate leadership model asserts that true leadership is neither an art of domination nor a pursuit of short-term gain. It is the lifelong discipline of mastering the self, the nafs, stewarding people with dignity, generating prosperity responsibly, and safeguarding the planet for future generations. It is a call to leaders to see authority as a trust, success as shared good, and service as the highest expression of power. The rest of the document I will leave for you to look at your leisure. It has questions, it has answers, it has all what I'm going to briefly tell you about the model. Now, practically, ladies and gentlemen, when we go and interact with people, whether it is a corporation or an NGO or a political party or a governmental agency, and we have people who are coming to be part of this ecosystem, number one, they ought to ask questions about the vision of that entity. What is the vision? How could a person be employed in an organization, whatever the core is, without understanding the vision, without accepting the vision, and without submitting to the vision? And under submission, I'm going to put 10 lines. Submission in the Arabic language is called Islam. Not the religion that you know, but it is the submission itself. To submit. Yes, Islam means you submit to Allah and that His Prophet is His Prophet. Peace be upon him. But this is not the issue that I'm sharing with you today. What I'm sharing with you today is submission to a shared vision. If you do not, then you are a hypocrite. Then you are a mercenary. You are going to an organization to get paid and move on if anybody is going to give you more pay. And I'm not talking about that. This is the first. Voila. Vision statement alignment. See Islam. Corporate Islam. Then comes the second layer. Now we have a workforce. Bravo. Good. Bravo. Do you believe in your leadership? Do you believe in the mission statement of your organization? Do you believe that you and your management echelon and your leadership together, you are going to create a symbiosis, a living organism that will take you to a better future? Because if you do that, if you are capable of creating that mechanism, if you are I'm high, maybe I'm used to larger rooms. So there is no issue whatsoever. Tell me, Mustafa, lower it and I can lower it. But then you have to excuse me because I'm talking from my heart. It is always very passionate. But I will attenuate the volume a little bit. No worries. So the second pillar of the model is a pillar that is engulfing the belief. So when you have belief in the organization that you and your ecosystem can create a better future, then you have actually attained corporate iman. And iman in the Arabic language is belief. Comes the third pillar, which is called corporate ihsan. Corporate ihsan or corporate excellence is when this workforce sees actually the leadership and the management and it starts to mimic what they do. And I'll give you a very mundane example. I am in the elevator to the office. So an officeman, not an office boy, not a tea boy or coffee boy, an officeman comes in the elevator with me. What do? Good morning, so and so. I am so pleased to see you this morning. I wish an excellent day ahead of you. So when there is a new person coming, he will see that humility is part of the engagement of the leadership. So he or she or them will be in a situation of, I think it's good to be humble. Since the big boss is humble, then I will mimic that individual. Just despite the fact that justice prevails in the organization that I'm entrusted to manage, I have infused in it a term that I heard yesterday. You have an ecosystem of people, employees, reporting, HR, people and culture, vice president, but at the same time, you have something called the ombudsman. The ombudsman is a term that we have infused in the organization so that at any point in time, if there is somebody who has an issue with his or her or their manager, can escalate up to the level that the person in charge will come knock on my door, tell me, person so and so would like to meet with you. He has a grievance you have to listen to. Can you handle this when you have a workforce of thousands scattered all over the globe? Why not? If you are disciplined enough, if you have an ecosystem that sustains you, yes, you can do that. Because, by the way, you will be asked one day, what did you do with the trust that was given to you? The employees have families, and you are going to be asked about their families too, not only the employee. Do you have true diversity in the organization, or you are just saying, I have diversity, but the ladies are second-rated citizens? So I have to ensure that the organization is attuned to this. All this falls under the corporate ihsan. How you can become a better citizen of the organization. So now I have mentioned three things: vision, alignment; mission statement, alignment; and then excellence in the organization. Those three pillars are all wrapped within one big cellophane, which is called the corporate nafs, or the corporate self. To be able to do all of these things, and this brings me really at the epicenter of the discussion, ladies and gentlemen. Let us not forget that when we look at wars that are happening, when we have discrepancies, hatred speeches, at the end of the day, it falls down to what? Money, power, and greed. Money, power, and greed. So if there is money, power, and greed, that's an issue. So instead of you coming to tell me, not you, but anybody to come and tell me, listen, Moustapha, I think those Christians believe in Trinity, and obviously you should shun them from the organization. And we have heard about the Scientologists, the VITA. Have you heard of the VITA? Heretics. Don't meet with them. Then I step back and say, wake up. You are referring to human beings, and the last time I checked, in their veins there was blood that, guess what, is red. And their father and mother, again, last time I checked, is Adam and Eve. Not me saying this, huh? It's not me, it's science saying this. So if they are like me, they walk on 2 legs, not on 4, or they walk on a tail with the 2 legs, or they have antennas, then I think that I should extremely be respectful to them and appreciate and listen. But listen, Mustafa, those are mistreating you. They are telling you that you are a jihadist. They are saying that you are going to ensure that the organization is run by the sword. You will sack them. I say, what? Sword? What? Sack? Me? Me? Are you talking to me or somebody else? Oh, Mustafa, listen. You are happy because you have money and you are married to 4 women. Because your religion gives you the right to marry 4 women. Then I say, guys, it is a huge responsibility. Oh, one is a huge responsibility. So I say, listen, let us not be diverted to what I call ephemeral discussions. Let us talk about the essence of what I want to accomplish. What I want to accomplish is to take a workforce from point A to point B to ensure that I have a workforce that is satisfied, a workforce that is engaged, and if I am able to do that, it means that I have checked the first P in the triple bottom line. If I have a workforce happy, satisfied, engaged, this will have an implication on productivity enhancement as well as profit amelioration. Check. If we have money, then we need to play the role that we need to play to bring back to the society. Planet, check. And the way we bring back to the society is not by saying Moustapha Sarhank, the benefactor, is giving $1 million to this society. Or we make packets where there is food and there is my logo on. This is hypocrisy again. Usually, the right hand should not see what the left hand is doing, and vice versa. And this is honor. This is respect. This is integrity. And you do not need Moustapha to teach you integrity. Either you're born in your veins to have integrity, or you're not. But I can show you the way. When you see that I'm benevolent, I'm doing goodness in the organization, you could mimic me. When you do that, then we're back to corporate iman. If I am a crook, if I have a brother and I'm making money out of it, so you're going to say, good, I will enjoy, of course, the brother, but at the same time, I will embezzle money because the ecosystem is not good enough. So the 3 triangular forms, the middle of it is corporateness. This is the way we try to become a better versions of ourselves. We try to do things that would make us a better version of a corporate citizen. We, as well as the rest of the workforce, become one unit. And we are becoming one unit irrespective of belief system of faith. In the sense that at any point in time, under the organization, there are, as I said, not yesterday before, Muslims, who are Sunni and Shia. We have Copt Orthodox. We have Protestants. We have Catholics. We have atheists. We have Hindus. We have Taoists. And I wish to have Scientologists, but I don't have yet Scientologists. All right? All of them, when you ask them what is your leadership model, they are going to tell you the Sufi corporate leadership model. They are not afraid of saying this because it is away from their religion. What is Sufi then? Tell us, Mustafa. Sufism is when you play in the realm of excellence. You have elevated yourself to such a higher ground that now you do not need anybody to tell you, do your work properly. You do not need to have a manager behind your back to tell you, do that in the right way. You do not need anybody to tell you, stay after hours. You are already committed. And this commitment is the highest level that I brought from Sufism. And all those three triangular facets, including the corporate element, they reside on what, and we hear this a lot in our organizations, core values and ethos. So when the organization sits comfortably on core values of justice, of trustworthiness, of servanthood, of humility, and so forth, it depends on whatever the organization is, then you have the same organization. All of this led me to a situation where I said, I think it is time that after 2 years after the launch of the book and after I got my doctorate, I got it in 2020. I cannot remember. It was an awful experience, by the way, but that I can share with you during dinner. It was truly an awful experience. An awful experience. And I left a mark on me. But the point is, that model, why did I venture into this model?
What I was thinking now. What is the origin?
Yes, yes. This model was a reaction to two things. One, when I was 5 years old, I was bullied. I was beaten. I was plumpy. I had nice cheeks. So people, and my mother used to do for me nice goûter, nice sandwiches. So they used to go to the school. By the way, I am a graduate of the Jesuits. All right? So we couldn't talk about these things to our fathers because I will get beaten easily. And I couldn't tell this to my parents. God bless their souls. So it kept with me. And it left a tremendous scar inside my ventricles. So what did I do? I became a ferocious, ugly picture of a human being. More of an animal than a human being. I had power, I had money, I had political influence. So you can imagine, if together a person and I are not in agreement, super. I buy the company, I sack the person, and I do not stop until here. I go after his family. So it has created a little devil with 2 tails and 4 horns. Did I practice at that time my belief system? I did not have time. Could you believe? I did not have time. And then one day, and this brings me to the first part of my dissertation of the book, I felt that there was something wrong with my left arm. Heart attack. This was 28 years ago. It was not a heart attack because the pain moved from left to right. And in around 10 days, the pain started to increase day after day. I did not sleep for 10 consecutive days. And I was told by the doctor, if on the 11th you're still like this, I will put you under morphine. I have to admit you in hospital to take morphine. All right, Mustafa, what did you have? I had something called viral neuritis. I had something that is the cousin of the polio that goes in the leg, and you know what patients drop? Half of it, it's that cousin. But it is such a ferocious virus that it hits any peripheral it wants. I was lucky that time I did not see that it hit my right arm. So in 10 days, I lived my nerves being eaten by the virus. And there was no medicine on earth that could attenuate that. A couple of weeks later, I went to a doctor from the United States. His name was Dr. Rozumov. Dr. Rozumov was 78 years old. He was not happy with what he saw, but he told me, okay, it's time you will begin again your arm. My wife did not feel comfortable. A week later, I was going to Florida. I went to Florida to Miami, University of Miami Pain Management Center, and there he administered me again. And then he told me, Mr. Sarhank, I will ask you 3 things, and be as honest as possible when you answer. Remember that just before this, what happened to me, I was an ugly son of a bitch. Right? Do you believe? I told him, yes, I believe. He said, here comes the second question. Do you believe in Allah? Captain, he did not say God. In Allah. His name is Rozumov, huh? I said, yes. He said, all right, here comes the third question, Mr. Sarhank. Do you believe in Allah and that Muhammad is his prophet? So I told him, this is the recitation that a Muslim say at least one during his her life to become a Muslim. He said, very well, Mr. Sarhank, go back home with this belief system and work on your arm. Get yourself a trainer. I want you to drop dead out of pain. And only then, Mr. Sarhank, there is a 50-50 chance that you regain again your arm. I came back. But before I came back, it's interesting to note the following. That before I'm going to him, I had a very interesting experience. On the 10th day evening, all of a sudden, I found my wife sleeping next to another man. No, it does not, it's not like what you can believe. I looked at this other man, it was me. Me? How come? I looked carefully, I saw the bedroom, I saw the bed, the chandeliers, everything. It so happened that I had an out-of-body experience. And from that time onward, with the message of Dr. Rozumov, it took me 5 long years with paralyzed arm. And one day on the 5th year at the gym, I was lifting a dumbbell, and all of a sudden, the same pain came back to me. So I fell on my knees, and with a loud voice, I said, Arabic, Arhamni ya Rabb, save me, God. But it was coming from here, from my stomach. All of a sudden, I found my trainer starting to cry. Moustapha, 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 look at your right arm. And he came my arm with a tumble. That's why I called it bringing the right arm back, a journey in Sufi corporate use. So with that note, I will stop. Nothing really more interesting than that to end the session. And I would like you please to ask me any question you see.
Okay.
Yes? Pardon?
Yes, no. We are going to listen to the other participants.
Very good.
And then
Very good.
we are
Very
going
good.
to do the question.
Very good. So thank you very much. I will leave the handout here for you to take if you're interested. Thank you very much.
Now we are going to listen Roberto Wittenberg of the Groningen University. According to yes, this is there. And the name of the speech is Nemo History and Interreligious Dialogue.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for the invite. It's an honor to be here with all the stimulating papers, and also it's a kind of providence with following from Egypt. Now comes the next Egyptian thing. So I'm a trained Egyptologist and Coptologist. This means Coptic studies. I'm focused on Christian Egyptians from late antiquity until present, but also the reception of late ancient Coptic texts in subsequent periods, so in the modern times. And I have to admit that I want to start with a little complaint about my own discipline, because I'm astonished about how little exchange has emerged between my own historical working discipline and the insights it can provide to larger society. So, particularly in context of ecumenical and interreligious dialogue, there's still a lot to do. The extremes of conflict and dialogue, of exchange and exclusion, characterize the highly diverse religious and social landscape of late ancient Egypt, which was back then a province of the Roman Empire, remained under Byzantine control until the Arab conquest in the 7th century AD. And the rich cultural tapestry of Egypt created fertile ground for the development of Christian theology. Figures such as Clement of Alexandria and Origen of Alexandria remained influential church teachers until present, for Catholics and for Eastern and Oriental Orthodox. And we must keep in mind that this sophisticated theology could only develop through dialogic engagement with Middle and Neoplatonism, that is, pagan philosophy rooted in Hellenistic culture. Furthermore, beyond the indigenous Egyptian and Greek polytheistic religions, Egypt was an important center of religious currents like Manichaeism, non-Orthodox Christian movements such as Gnosticism, the Greco-Egyptian current of Hermetism, and of course Judaism, as exemplified by the great philosopher Philo of Alexandria. The memory of Egypt in subsequent historical periods has been a particular concern of the German Egyptologist Jan Assmann, who developed the framework of mnemohistory, which of course serves beyond the borders of Egypt in historical inquiry. Since memory is the central element of religion, I have been asking myself, can mnemohistory help us with interreligious encounters? While interreligious dialogue, as it's practiced most of the time, is aiming at accepting, comprehending, at coexisting and work together with religious diversity, I am wondering whether we can learn from historical case studies like from late ancient Egypt, where it can be rather the proximity and similarity with the other than the diversity which creates friction and misunderstanding. What do I mean by this? The American religious scientist Jonathan C. Smith exemplified this in the case of the consolidation of Christian orthodoxy, and thus also in the exclusion of heresy. From his differential equation, he's saying the issue of difference as a mode of both culturally encoding and decoding, of maintaining and relativizing internal as well as external distinctions, raises the observation that rather than the remote other being perceived as problematic and or dangerous, it is the proximate other, the near neighbor, who is most troublesome. That is to say, while difference or otherness may be perceived as being either like us or not like us, it becomes most problematic when it is too much like us, or when it claims to be us. It is here the real urgency of theories of the other emerges, called forth not so much by a requirement to place internal difference, but rather by an effort to situate ourselves. So for Jonathan Swift, it's the example of early Christian development of orthodoxy, heterodoxy. Of course, everybody would claim we are the true Christians. It's a universal claim. And an important part of what ancient religions such as Judaism and Christianity, but also Zoroastrianism, Manichaeism have been competing for is a specific deposit of memory, which I will soon explain. Therefore, in this paper, I propose employing the theoretical framework of mnemohistory as developed by Jan Assmann, which examines how collective memories shape societal narratives and identities. I want to find out how it can change our perspective when applied to the interreligious encounter. I do not claim that mnemohistory is a panacea that can work immediately for easing tensions between religious groups, but rather it can serve as a preliminary analytical tool for rendering oneself conscious not only of what one believes, but also how one's beliefs come about. So it's much more about structure. Assmann pointed out that mnemohistory is the opposite of the usual approach of a historian, which he calls the archaeological. What does he mean by archaeology? It's not necessarily the excavation of temples or buildings and artifacts, but rather a specific approach towards historical work, which aims at uncovering, so to speak, the past as it was. It wants to get hold of the arche, so Greek origin or beginning. The archaeological reading of history can verify or falsify claims about the past. Therefore, it includes questions like how, when, and why did a given event happen. Mnemohistory, on the other hand, takes an interest in the memory of the past as such. It does not ask whether one thing or the other really happened. Mnemohistory acknowledges that memories are retroactively formed in the present. Therefore, they are subject to current conditions which naturally alter the remembered content. He points out that memories may be wrong, distorted, fictitious, even implanted by artificial means, as discussed within psychology. Our collective images and imaginations about the past are stored in what Assmann calls cultural memory. Assmann suggests that every one of us is linked to others in our group through a shared, meaningful world. We build this world out of shared rules, shared norms, and especially shared stories. Our individual identities aren't built in a vacuum, but we constantly draw on orientating symbols, the key heroes, events, and traditions that our cultures provide. And all these are subsets of memory. Now, Assmann makes a helpful distinction about how memory works on a societal level. He splits the collective memory into two separate but related modes. So the first one is the communicative memory. Think of this as a conversation. It's memory that's active right now, connecting the present to a recent past. It's stuff you can talk about with living witnesses, with your grandparents. And this memory is about linking. It's a close, direct connection. But then there's also cultural memory. This is a rather archival form of memory. It's more like a permanent storehouse of memory figures. These are fundamental myths, rituals, and symbols of the deep past. Moses, the Crusades, the founding of the nation. And this memory is about tying on. It ties our present identity back to a distant foundational past. But now we have to be careful. Memory is not history. Here's the critical point. Cultural memory does not store facts. Instead, it's an ongoing, active process of reconstructive imagination. We don't just recall the past. We actively recreate it in the present to serve our current needs. And the process of forming identity is identical for an individual or for a group. While our individual identity is the story we tell about our own life, our collective identity is the story that becomes myth. Myths, in this sense, are simply, quote unquote, the stories which a group, a society, or a culture lives by. They are the engines that drive ethnogenesis, the making of the people, but of course also of religions. So now we come to mnemohistory. This is where it really comes in. Mnemohistory is less interested in the factuality of memory, which is an archaeological question, but it's more interested in the actuality, its relevance to the people recalling it now. It does not try to verify or falsify a claim about the past. Instead, it appreciates the memory as such, because the memory reveals something crucial about present conditions in which it is actively recalled and practiced. We have countless examples in religious traditions, which are reconstructed and constantly reconstructing memory. Think of the Exodus of Israel. Its ritualized commemoration in Passover is not just recalling an event, it's actively recreating a key component of Jewish identity. Or think of Christ's Last Supper. When Christians celebrate the Eucharist, they are obeying the command, do this in remembrance of me. This ritual actualizes the past event, making it real and relevant to the present community. And by the way, mnemohistory does not mean that the recalled past didn't happen. No, but as pointed out, it's recalled and reimagined and reenacted in the present with its changing conditions. Now, how can mnemohistory help us within the context of interreligious encounter? I argue that religious conflict can particularly emerge when religious groups share important aspects of the same cultural memory. A good example is what Maurice Advax, the sociologist, called lieux de mémoire, sites of memory, such as the city of Jerusalem. Throughout history, the three monotheistic religions did indeed agree on the central significance of the city. However, we know that cultural memory is not a deposit of facts, but an ongoing reimagination of the past. Therefore, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam each interpreted the precise sense of claim to the city, shaped by their given conditions. The result is a disagreement on the specific interpretation, but as an element of cultural memory, this represents a case of tremendous proximity. And indeed, it is this proximity and claim that fuels conflict, not the difference per se. And of course, such examples cannot be reduced to the Abrahamic religions. We can encounter similar conflicts, like in antiquity, the Zoroastrian priesthood against the Manichaeans, which inherited considerable parts of Zoroastrianism. Another compelling case of antagonistic proximity is the relationship between the Mandean religion native to Iraq and Christianity. The Mandeans deny the divinity of Jesus, asserting instead that John the Baptist was the true Messiah. While the Christian and Mandean soteriologies are fundamentally irreconcilable, this does not represent a radical difference in the starting point. Both religions agree on, or more precisely, both religions remember the existence of John and Jesus. Both practice a form of baptism, and both draw on a cultural memory grounded in a period that would later evolve in the New Testament. Therefore, while the modes in which these memories are recalled are antithetical to each other, the friction itself is generated by the significant overlap of the mnemonic space that both religions inhabit, not by a fundamental absence of shared tradition. It's the overlap to the source. So, what to do next with it? It is my conviction that the framework of mnemohistory allows us to see how our traditions are conditioned by cultural memory and the active dynamic reconstructive work it implies that always starts from the given present. In many cases, the key elements of the deposit of memory in given religious communities, most paradigmatically, but not exclusively, in Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, do intersect or can be even identical. The dynamics, remembering and forgetting, that is, the dynamic of cultural memory, produce irreconcilable interpretations of the same object of memory. Reflecting on this, we can pause and understand that all religious cultures are subject to the same dynamics, even if the given contents may differ. Thus, mnemohistory renders us aware of the complexities of religious identity. It is not only shaped in the vertical, this means by a tradition, so literally something handed down, but also by the horizontal, which is the present moment. We don't need to compromise on our beliefs and doctrines, no, on the contrary, but we can come to understand them even better through understanding their historical, social, and sociological genesis. By understanding these dynamics, we can move from the doctrinal dispute towards a meta-doctrinal encounter. We realize that we have something in common with the other, and the other has something in common with us, even more than we could think about, because it turns out that it was paradoxically our proximity rather than our diversity which divided us in the first place. But to come to such realizations, it is not only crucial to deepen interreligious dialogue, but also to engage in dialogue with the academic study of the history of religions. So these are my 2 cents about the problems, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Please, Guillermo, Moustapha, please. Okay, this is the moment of questions. Okay, yes. Please, down. Okay. Yes, Elta.
Please do it.
I have one, then after.
Oh, thank you very much. What question I want to also was a very nice presentation. Thank you very much for conveying your personal path, story of how you could change from what you experienced in the which you are out now. But I wanted to ask you, because of course I understood your personal situation, let's say in the overall structure of the your perception of corporate leadership, and at the same time as a corporate leader in years, you have huge experience as a leader company, and So I understood very well what is your position as an individual and how do you exercise. Now my question would be is how do you implement this model, which for you personally works very well, and how do you implement it in the different levels of your company or companies? The leader, then you have the leader, and then people working there. How do you implement, how do you distribute it, as it were, through the different layers of the company, and what are the benefits then? And choosing, because I can see very well, I'm playing like the advocate of the devil. I can see very well how it redounds, in a given excellent feeling and position in your own reality. But my question would be then, how does it affect positively, I assume, at different layers of what do people get back? Specifically thinking that, as you said, you have people from many different religions, religious persuasions.
Okay.
Thank you. My voice for not to disturb the wavelength.
Please.
Thank you very much for your question and comment. Let me first say that cross-check and balance in the way we assimilate the model. As we have seen and witnessed, the model's pillars must be well understood by my C3 first, my direct reportees, who are not many, by the way. And the organization is not great by being fully fledged matrix organization. And I have to ensure that all the executives, whether they are localized in the HQ or outside of HQ, fully grasp the nuances and the nitty-gritty of the system itself. And then they have to present it to me in their own tongue and in their own way, detached from any belief system. So, as somebody who is Hindu, I do not want him, he's a gentleman, I don't want him to add to the model from his belief system, but I want him to add to the model from his culture and from the way he has been dealing with his direct reportees and family. And if you all try to make this cascade, then you are going to have a series of events that translate from the top individual to the officer. Here comes the issue of, if you have somebody, a janitor, working for the organization, he or she do not know the vision of the organization, you have a problem. You have a problem. You have a detachment in the workforce. So you have to ensure that everybody horizontally and vertically understand that. So through implementation of cross-check and balance, and we do scoreboarding. So we have devised internally in the organization a consulting deck, scoreboarding, where we engage with the people this way, whether there are thousands or there are less than that, does not matter. And specifically when they start interacting with the ecosystem around them, whether corporates, for profit, or not for profit, or government agencies. And here comes the role of ethics in play. Now it is very important to infuse ethics constantly within the echelon of the organization.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate.
Questions? Yes.
Yeah, thank you all for your really interesting presentations. Just a quick question for Alberto. I found your presentation quite interesting, and I think I agree with most of what you said. In the literature and collective memory, going back to health class, there's this, I guess the starting point is really that memory is always influenced by present circumstances, interests, and contextual issues. And so, you know, the fact that you have different faith groups that remember the same events or in different ways based on how they're socially positioned and what they understand their interests to be consciously or unconsciously would seem to kind of, you know, go quite well with this sort of core strand of thought on collective memory. I guess the question is, maybe I wanted to give you a chance to say a little bit more about how you see your approach departing from that in any way, or challenging, or perhaps building upon that core.
In fact, Athman built his memory history on Hallmark. So, however, there's mostly a philosophical disagreement between Hallmark and Athman, because Hallmark has this theory, but he's quite radical. He said, as long as things are not remembered, they don't exist. So he thinks that all of our content is just generated. Athman disagrees with that. So, and there's actually a line of tradition which goes back to Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche was speaking about the socio-genetical power of memory. He was linking this with religion, especially with tortures. He said, like, initiation rites would create pain and so on. These are the social genetical powers of memory, which actually lead to a cohesion of society. This is something, of course, it's Nietzsche. So it's a classical Nietzsche in his critique of religion, and it cannot be verified, let's say, under the current perspective of scholarship. But it's Alphax who departs from this idea of the social genetic power of memory, and he said, well, all of what we create is created in the current in the current situation, and we can only know that we create right now. So, it's basically our invention in the past. It's not a thing as such, and Athman does believe that things also in an archaeological way, but he's agnostic about it. So this is a philosophical disagreement more than methodological disagreement.
I have someone a question. I have two questions. One for Guillermo and one for you, Moustapha. Guillermo, thank you very much for your exposition. I want you to if you could share with us the work you are doing against the struggle of drugs and human rights and all you do around the world. If you could share 2, 3 examples, places, what kind of work you have doing now?
Well, thank you very much. Yes, I mean, our founder, the founder of Scientology, tells us that the biggest right there is the right to help. So that's part of our philosophy, and we do have, for example, in drug prevention, we have the biggest non-governmental organization on drug prevention, the same on human rights, education, to educate people on how to study, right? And we have many foundations, and we are very active in the community. We have over 2 million active volunteers around the world. And just an example, we believe that one of the most important courses that we teach is to teach a young person, or anybody in this case, how to study. How to study so they actually learn, they study all their life, but if they don't know how to study so they can apply it and use it in life, not just to pass an exam, then what's the point? Studying thousands of hours. So, for example, right now, we just, over the last 3 weeks, we just finished training 10,000 teachers in Ecuador, so they can teach students properly the course on how to study. Over 40,000 in Panama, and we're about to start training all the teachers in El Salvador. So we try to concentrate on training multipliers, training the trainer, otherwise we'll never finish. Right? And we also have done a massive drug prevention program in many areas around the world. But right now we're working very heavily in Latin America because it's one of the most difficult areas. So we have, we're working right now heavily in Colombia, Ecuador, mainly in those areas. And I have been in the Colombian jungles, and it's part of that, I think, to learn yourself, what the situation, so you can actually help. We've been literally sleeping behind trees with, the military in the jungle, eating whatever it moves, so we can reach into the most areas of the most need. And we have delivered right now drug prevention training to probably about 150,000 people in Colombia and Venezuela, including the military forces. We concentrate also training the military forces to reduce corruption, internal corruption, so they actually do their job. And between Colombia and Venezuela, Colombia and Ecuador, we have trained probably about 100,000, actually a little more, military and police on the drug prevention program. So we're just trying to get out there and train others and give all our materials are free, all the courses are free online, and we're just trying to bring together not just our volunteers, but other people so we can help the community together.
Thank you very much. And in another continent?
Of course, like from here we go, with my wife, we go directly to Greece, and we're also working right there on drug prevention. I mean, I think drug consumption is a problem everywhere. So we have a big drug prevention campaign. We're working together with, including the local church and the government, and we have big drug prevention programs in Greece and all of Europe, right? And Africa. We have trained about 100,000 trainers.
They work on the ground.
On the ground. Right?
Yes.
We're just trying to get out there and be in action, right? Not just talk about it, but do something.
Thank you very much. I don't know if a question or a commentary, please, with all respect. Your organization is a Sufi corporate leadership.
This is the model.
This is a model.
It's Sufi
We
corporation.
can say that it's a tasawwuf.
Yes.
Because you talk about that and all the elements of the Sufism, the traditional Sufism.
There is a reason.
Okay. So I am asking if this is a tasawwuf.
This is actually tasawwuf. This is Sufism. Sufism is the esoteric side of Islam.
Yes.
And the reason why I shunned away from calling the model Islamic leadership concept, it is too elegant to make a model after your belief system. So what is that term that could be used coming from the way I perceive leadership ought to be and my own personal practice? Because during those 5 years that I have shared with you, when I had a paralyzed arm, I went through a cleansing process, both physically and spiritually. I've read through all religions, I mean all religions, all faith systems and non-faith. I have gone through Sharia, I have gone through the jurisprudence, I went through different contexts that you can imagine, extremism, everything. And then inside Islam. And inside the Roman Catholic Church as well. Because again, and this is something interesting to note, a Muslim who is educated at the Jesuits, who got medical advice from a Jew. Doctor doesn't know for the Jew. And
and he has been a very close friend of mine until he moved on, passed away. So all these things were instrumental in the way I wanted to explain what the organization ought to be. So yes, tasawwuf, there is a level, there is, if you want to know more, there is a saying, right? That saying is not the saying of Prophet Muhammad other than Allah. Okay? And it says that there was a congregation of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, with his disciples, and all of a sudden somebody came in and knocked, and he was doing, yes, please come in. So the Sahaba, the disciples, told him, come and sit. So he came and sat next to the Prophet. Then he put his hand on the thigh of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he asked, tell me, Muhammad, what is Islam? He told him to submit to God and to Prophet Muhammad, he is his prophet. He said, tell me, Muhammad, what is Iman? Belief, faith. He told him to believe in all the religions, in all the prophets, in heaven, in hell, in qadr, yes, whatever is going to happen to you. So he told him, tell me, Muhammad, what is ihsan? Here it is excellent. And his response to him was, ihsan is that you do everything seeing Allah, as if you see Allah. And if you do not see Him, He is seeing you. So always try to become a better version of yourself. So these are the three layers in Sufism. So the Sufi scholars always transact in ihsan to always become a better version of themselves.
Yes.
So how this was embedded in the corporate world, I took the names, Islam, submission, Iman, belief, and then ihsan, excellence. I infused them into the model. That's why it became swallowable to anybody who believes in any other religion. Expected.
Yes.
Do I use that as a medium to propagate Islam? If you want to believe that, so be it. But I'm not. Why? Because it is not me who is actually in the capacity or in the chair of being a theologian and talk about a religion versus another. On the other hand, I'm here to share with you experiences about the cruel corporate world. I've been doing business for the last 41 years in all parts of the globe with thousands of workforce. So there is knowledge to be shared. And I really urge you, this part of the world that I belong to is a very vibrant, interesting world. But please, when you look at, for instance, Saudi Arabia, do not think that Saudi Arabia is one country. It is just country, but there is the eastern province, there is the western province, and there is the Hijaz in the middle. Now it is much more modernized, and things are changing on the ground, which is very welcome. Like in the United Arab Emirates, do not come and tell me UAE is Dubai. Wrong, ladies and gentlemen. It is not. It is Abu Dhabi, it is Dubai, it is Sharjah. Here we donated to the center. It is Ajman, Durman, Qaywin. You have to understand these things if you are interested to do business in this part of the world. And when it comes to Egypt, don't ever say that there are tensions between Muslims and Christians. This is the truth, because there is. Anybody was behind that was the Muslim brother. Don't ever say this. I was a refugee. I was a refugee and I'm Muslim. So please. And by the way, my friends, the Coptic Orthodox, they fast with me during Ramadan. But when we talk about people who had private agendas, that's why I said about Muslim Brotherhood, they infiltrate very interesting stuff.
Okay. So thank you very much.
You can play all this higher level. So,
What would be?
I mean, you might be right. The tension are confused. In fact, people are experiencing tensions. So, unfortunately,
Then we have to define what is the definition of tension and where are the tensions and who is behind the tension. I'll tell you why. Because if you are going to take,
I have a very good example. For example, if you want to construct a church in Egypt, legally you can do it, like the government is protected. But until the proposal to construct a church is approved, it will be postponed. So because it's a structural discrimination protocol, and we cannot deny it. I'm sorry.
I beg to differ. This is a very interesting discussion.
Yes.
I beg to differ. I beg to differ because it all depends on the regime. Enough, not the way the government or the country moves. Why? And I'll give you an example. When I take you back to the days of Amr ibn al-As, the one who went to Egypt, he was the disciple of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Time for prayer came. So he was asked to go and stay inside the church because it is a clean place. What did he say? No, I will pray outside. And you know the reason why? Because had he entered inside the church, they would have demolished it inside and made it up with mosque. And by the way, I don't know whether you know this or not. Do you know that Prophet Muhammad, one of his wives, was a Coptic Orthodox? And do you know that his son had an uncle who was a Coptic Orthodox?
All Egyptians were Coptic Orthodox.
And yes, absolutely. So what I'm trying to say, and by the way, the biggest church in the Middle East now has been built in the new administrative city. So I have a church that has been built where I live, new. So what I'm trying to say here is, yes, there have been tensions fueled by people with private agendas, because when you mix politics with religion, you have such a distorted way of embracing things. I was in, when I used to go and lobby at the Hill in the United States of America, I used to be confronted with exactly what you just said. And the way I will always address that was very simple. Did you come and live with us? Did you see Coptic Orthodox fasting with me and me knowing about their fasting? Their fasting, by the way, if you don't know, Coptic Orthodox have a fasting way that they do not drink water as well, like us. Did you know this?
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, we have another very interesting day. And we close at 4, 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Yes, I have one.
First,